Alright guys, today's video is going to be pretty different from anything I've ever done on my channel before, and I wanted to do this video for a really long time, but I felt like it was never the right time in my life. It was never really the right time for my YouTube channel. I didn't know what to say, but then I realized a couple days ago that I feel like with this specific subject, it's never really going to be the right time for me because mental health or mental health disorders, whatever you guys call them, is something that most people have to deal with for the rest of their lives. So in my mind, I was kind of just like, why not just, it was just never going to be the right time to film it or make me feel comfortable enough to sit down and do this. So this is very candid. It's a very uncomfortable video for me to film because it's something super close to my heart and something that I don't really like sharing with too many people in my life. And I don't know. So if I seem a little bit jumbled in this video, it's not because I'm not being myself, and it's not because I'm lying or trying to convince you guys of something. It's just because it's a really sensitive subject to me and something that I'm going to have to deal with for a really, really long time. So I wrote down in my notes in my phone right here some, oh, by the way, this is my favorite thing that my boyfriend has ever bought me, and he surprised me with this. This is actually my dog, and it's a picture of him printed on a phone case. So I will actually leave that down below where he got it in case you guys are interested. And I know they do a lot different things other than phone cases too, and it's not a sponsor or anything. I just wanted to show you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna read just different little bullet points, and I wrote down things right here just to make sure I kind of capture everything. I know this video is already probably gonna be no less than 20 minutes long, so I just wanna share this with you guys in case there's people out there, especially younger people than I, or maybe around the same age, that are going through the same thing and you don't know where to look. You don't know exactly what's going on with you. So this is basically for you. This video is, I just want to at least help one person with this, because I know when I started dealing with this back in, I don't know, whatever it was, I was just so lost, and I felt like I was the only one in the whole world that was going through this. Okay, so basically by the title you guys can tell this is going to be my mental health story. I deal with severe generalized anxiety disorder. So basically that just means that there's no particular like reason, and I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't have like a PhD or whatever. It's just, this is what I've learned from my history and my diagnosis. So yeah, so basically it doesn't specifically mean that there's like a specific reason or a certain reaction that happens when I get anxiety. It's just, like it says, generalized. I also deal with panic disorder, which is the oncoming of panic attacks that occur frequently, as well as major depression. And the major depression one actually was something that came very recently, and when I mean recently, I mean within the past 2 to 3 years. I know that I've dealt with anxiety for a really long time, but I didn't think that I had depression just because I wasn't sad all the time, but I'll get into that. So basically I want to talk about the first time I dealt with anxiety, and at the time I didn't know it was anxiety. I didn't know that's what I was going through. I didn't know that's what I was feeling, but I think it was because I was so young that I didn't put the picture, or I guess because I didn't put the pieces together, so I didn't really know how to explain it to my parents or to the doctors. I just knew I felt sick. So I remember the first time was in first grade. My mom was flying back and forth to Ohio for her job for a couple months straight, and she would fly from Monday through Friday, and then on weekends she would come back Friday night and fly back Sunday night. And I am like this with my mom, and especially back then I was so attached to her that really took a toll on me. So after a few weeks of that happening, one week I just woke up one morning and I remember feeling so panicky and so like like I said, like I didn't really know how to explain it. And I remember my cousin was watching me, and she was the one who was staying with me at home, taking me to and from school. And again, I was in first grade, so you're so little. And I just remember her taking me on a Monday, and she dropped me off, and I freaked out. And I remember just like feeling like I wasn't myself. So she was pulling out of the driveway going down the street, and I looked at my school and I just started booking it to the car as she was driving off, and I begged her, please don't make me go to school, please, just I can't stay, I need to be with someone right now. Like I just couldn't be alone, I couldn't focus, I didn't want to sit down in class. And now that I think about it, now that I'm 24 years old, and I think, wow, that was a really like intense feeling I must have felt. And I don't really know how old you are in first grade, maybe 7 or 8. But for a 7 or 8-year-old to feel those things, I don't know, like it's just hard to explain. But that happened Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday until I saw my mom. And no one really knew what it was. They thought maybe I was just super sad because she wasn't there. But now that I look back on it and know those are the feelings I felt, I was just so, I was worried about my mom. I was worried that, you know, I wasn't going to see her again. I couldn't focus. All I knew was that I just had to be with someone. I didn't want to be left alone. So that was the first time I ever experienced it. The second time was when my dad actually moved to Houston with his parents for almost about a year, maybe like 9 or 10 months. And he got a job there, and he was setting up his life there, so he thought. And I went to go visit him the summer before 6th grade. And I remember like I would be at the house with my grandparents, who unfortunately I wasn't very close to because I didn't see them too often. I loved my Nana. She was the best person I've ever met, like one of the best people I've ever met for sure. I loved her dearly, but I just wasn't comfortable enough around them because I was never around them. I live in California, they lived in New York, Massachusetts, and then Texas. So like I said, I never really got to see them, and I wasn't as comfortable with them, let's say, as my mom's family, who I see way, way more often. So my dad would go to work Monday through Friday, and I was supposed to be there for, I believe, almost a whole month. After the first week, I remember just being there, and I felt so sick to my stomach. I needed to come home. I was so, like, just, I felt misplaced. Like, I couldn't explain it, but I just remember, like, I couldn't calm myself down. I felt like I needed to throw up constantly. I was on the phone with my mom 24/7 crying, telling her I need to come home. I don't feel safe. And it was something that really upset my dad because, you know, no one really knew that I dealt with those symptoms. I didn't know I dealt with that, but I could tell it was so upsetting to him because it made him feel like, dang, like my daughter doesn't want to stay with me. But it wasn't that. It was just, I felt so like just outside of myself, and I couldn't explain why I felt sad or why I felt uncomfortable, why I needed to go home. And now I know it's because when I feel those things, I like to be around things that are familiar to me. So that was the first time. And I remember I finally convinced everybody to let me go home a week and a half early. So I did. And those days leading up to me leaving, I remember I was leaving on a Tuesday, and that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I felt so sick. He was trying to get me to go do things with him just so I would feel a little bit more comfortable. I wouldn't be just stuck at home all the time, or I should say at my grandparents' house. And I just remember just being so shaky, feeling like I couldn't eat. I needed to throw up constantly. Like I just felt so sick. And I just remember telling myself, Tuesday, 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 Tuesday. And I would calm myself down, and I wouldn't be so shaky, and I wouldn't feel like so weird. Like my body was just like on fire constantly. So that was that experience. And then the other thing I can remember was just being in high school. In high school is when I started experimenting with a lot of things I probably shouldn't have. And I know now that I look back on the things I was doing, I probably shouldn't have done those, because I know for some reason, and I don't know how, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not in the medical field officially yet. But I just know in my body, in my brain, and in my heart that those things that I did back in high school, and even a little bit after high school, definitely and deeply affected my brain and my nervous system now, because I was just constantly drinking, constantly doing things, like I said, I shouldn't have been doing, and I know that it really affected me. But anyways, I just remember being in high school, and I was in a pretty serious relationship. I mean, I say that now and I'm like, how serious can high school relationships be? Because I think to myself, like, all the things that I went through in high school with my ex-boyfriend, I'm like, they were nothing compared to the things I've been through with my current boyfriend now that we're older. And I'm not even like in my 30s and 40s yet, when we have to take care of a mortgage, a child and stuff. But I look back on it now and I'm like, dang, like, I really thought those high school issues were so serious, like they were the end of the world. And it kind of makes me laugh. But at the time, you know, that's who you're around constantly. You're constantly around your high school peers, your classmates, your friends, and you really think that that's all your life revolves around. So I did really take all of the issues that we were going through so seriously. And when we broke up the first time and I found out that he cheated on me, or whatever the case was, I don't remember why we broke up, but I just remember that I took it so hard. I fell into the biggest depression that I could honestly remember so far up until my 24 years of life. There's one more thing that I do want to talk about later on in this video that was really eye-opening to me as far as my depression, but I didn't really realize that at the time, that what I was going through in high school was depression. I knew I felt sad, and I knew like I just didn't feel like myself at all, but I didn't know that that's what it was. And after we broke up, I just was so, like, I felt empty inside. And I had seen like all of my different peers and like friends break up with their boyfriends, and I'm like, why the hell are they not taking it as much as as hard as I am, I should say. Like, I felt like it was literally the end of the world. And I was even thinking, like, I don't think I would get to the point of thinking suicidal thoughts, but I think in my mind, like, I was like, holy shit, like, if this continues, I think I'm on that path. And it scared the living crap out of me. But it never got to that point, which thank God. But I definitely was so sad, so depressed, so emotional. I remember like one of the symptoms the first like month that we had broken up, and I mean, I don't really want to talk about my high school relationship because that's not really what this video is about, but just so you guys know, like, we broke up. I thought I was literally so in love with this guy, and we broke up. To make matters worse, that already made me so depressed. Literally, maybe like 6 or 7 days after we broke up, I saw him with another girl and they were making out, and then he asked her to homecoming. So that, like, everything just added on. And I was just like, why is this happening to me? And so that, in my mind, made me realize, like, this is like depression. Like, this is what depression feels like. And I thought it was never gonna end. I thought I was gonna be depressed for the rest of my life. But one day, like, after like months and months passed by, I felt better. So I was like, okay, like, that was probably just what a normal breakup feels like. It's not. I could tell you right now that yes, when you're with someone for months and months to years and years, I'm sure there's like a difference. You can't really compare. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a relationship expert. Like, I knew, like, I've been sad in different breakups, and I've seen my friends and my family be sad in breakups for like weeks, maybe even months. Like, you never really fully get over it for a while. But what I went through in high school, like, it was like the end of me. It was like to the next level, and it's not something I could really explain, and I never really talked to people about it because I didn't want to sound dramatic, like, oh my god, like, she's just so obsessed with this guy, or like, she can't let it go, like, get over it already. And that's why I never really expressed myself. The only person I really talked to was my mom. But it was really hard to just deal with. I felt like so abnormal. Like, no one knew what I was going through because I didn't want to sound weird. Like, it's hard to explain. So that was high school. Okay, so now I kind of want to get into when I was actually diagnosed by a professional. And 2015 is the year I turned 21 years old, and that was in January. So fast forward to the summer of 2015, I was going out all the time. I was still in school full time. I had a job pretty much full time, and I never, like, it was a really horrible cycle. Like, go to school, go to work, go out, go to school, go to work, go out. And this happened pretty much Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the days that I would kind of give myself a break. But, oh, and then to add on top of that, I was dealing with something else in my life that I kind of will address in the future, but just not in this video. I was dealing with something else in my life. I was dealing with relationship problems with my current boyfriend that I have now. I was dealing with going to the gym. I was honestly just living life day to day, and it wasn't healthy for me because I was just piling too much stuff on. I didn't take a break from partying. I was drinking. I was going out. I was doing things I really shouldn't have been doing. Again, I don't want to put myself on blast because I just don't know who is ever going to see this in my future. But I'm just not comfortable saying the certain things I was doing. But like, I'm sure you guys know. You guys can read between the lines. I was just doing a lot of like stupid things that a 21-year-old girl or just young adult was doing. And I never thought about how it would affect my health. I never thought about how it would affect my future and my mental health overall. So basically, fast forward, that was the summer of 2015. Fast forward to about October. A couple months later, I went to Las Vegas with my boyfriend, and we had a really good time. I'm pretty sure I got alcohol poisoning there. That's really how much I was drinking at the time. And then we came back, and then a week later, I was at training for my job, and all of a sudden, like, I started feeling really hot. My eyes started going blurry. They were like moving back and forth really fast. My heart was beating like at the speed of light, and I really didn't know why. So I remember thinking like, holy crap, am I having a heart attack? So I remember just walking outside very slowly, and I was trying to breathe. Oh, and that's another thing. I felt like I couldn't breathe. So I was trying to take really deep breaths. I remember calling my mom, really scared, really panicky, and she just told me to calm down. She said, "You're okay." And mind you, my mom has dealt with anxiety for the past 10 years as well. Like, hers is more depression, mine is more anxiety, but she has dealt with anxiety. So she knew what was happening to me, and she just told me to calm down, to eat something, and that I should feel better. And I'm like, okay. So then, luckily 20 minutes after that happened was our lunch. So then I go to eat something. I'm still kind of shaky, not feeling myself, but it's not like super intense. And after a couple hours, it like settles and I feel okay. But in the back of my mind, I'm really scared that it's gonna happen again. So over the next week and a half to 2 weeks is when it really got bad. Every day I was having at least 3 to 4 panic attacks. I was scared to go to sleep because in my mind I thought that I was going to either 1, die in my sleep, 2, wake up with a panic attack that I couldn't breathe, 3, like I said, I was going to either die in my sleep, and the reason being is because like I couldn't breathe, or I wouldn't know, like my heart would just race so fast, like it would give out. And that was really, really rough for me. Really, really rough. And I remember the first couple days I didn't know what was wrong, and I just remember being up like at 3, 4 in the morning, like crawling to my mom, basically telling her like to help me, please take me to the hospital, call 911, because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And yeah, like it was just so bad. But luckily, like she knew what was wrong. She knew that it was anxiety. So I kind of got better. I went to the doctor. They told me what it was, and I had at the time I had a really, really good doctor. It wasn't a psychologist or a psychiatrist yet, but it was just like a family practice doctor. But they knew it was wrong. They knew it was anxiety because I got a bunch of blood tests done. It wasn't anything like with my thyroid or nothing to do with my heart. My heart was really healthy. So after I got all those tests back after about a week and a half to 2 weeks, I remember that kind of was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I wasn't panicking about like dying anymore because I knew that I was like physically healthy. So that really helped. But that's when I got diagnosed with anxiety, like severe generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder. So that was about October of 2015. So from about October 2015 to April 2017, I was dealing with anxiety on my own. I didn't go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I was just kind of finding ways to help myself and trying to get through it, living each day for myself and not, I had to really I basically just had to change my lifestyle. But I don't know, I didn't really change the way I was living my life. I don't know, I kind of refused to believe that I had to change completely. And what I mean by that is the amount that I was drinking. And I stopped doing all the other things I didn't mention. All I was doing was drinking. And mind you, it wasn't as often or as heavily, but drinking I've found is my anxiety's worst trigger. The day after a binge drink or a binge night of drinking, I should say, my anxiety is up here. It is ridiculously high. And I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that it was that. So I kind of just continued to live the way I was. I was still going out with my boyfriend, with my friends, still drinking or whatever. And I don't know, I think it was just really hard for me to accept because I kind of started telling myself, why am I the only one going through this? And why is this happening to me? I think that was for that year and a half that I was dealing with all of it. I don't know, that was the number one question in my head, and I really started comparing myself to others. I started kind of falling into a depression, I should say, because I didn't want to accept my condition or my disorders, and I wanted to kind of ignore them and put them on the back burner. But the more I did that, the more anxiety I would get. So it was kind of like a really horrible cycle that was happening in my mind. And I don't know, it just really led me to become super introverted. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. I became very, very irritable. I became just kind of a bitch. I don't know. I wasn't the person that I normally am, and everyone knows that I'm always really happy. I always have a smile on my face, and I just didn't feel like myself. I was so insecure about myself. I was so constantly worried, and that I felt like that was aging me so much. Not so much, well, okay, yeah, I guess maybe my physical appearance, but more so just how I felt inside. I didn't feel young. I didn't feel fresh anymore. I felt really used, and I just felt like I was just aging so fast. I didn't enjoy life anymore. And that is what I kind of wanted to lead up to talking about, which was April of last year, which is 2017. And that is when I went into a major depressive episode. And I think that's a technical, or I should say medical term for it. That's what was on my paperwork after I left the hospital. But basically for about 7 days, for about 5 days, I had absolutely no sleep. Within those 5 days, I probably got about an hour to an hour and a half of sleep. And that was the worst experience of my life by far. By the 4th and 5th day, I started to hallucinate. I was so weak, I couldn't really walk. I started to hallucinate in the fact that I started seeing shadows in the corner of my eye. I started thinking that people were saying things to me and they weren't. And I'm sure you guys know, you need sleep. Humans need sleep to survive and to basically regenerate your mind and your body and everything like that. And basically going 5 days with no sleep is like so bad for you. So that's why all these things started happening to me. So my mom took me to the emergency room because she was just like, you can't do this, like you can't keep going on like this. And what would happen every night was like I would try to go to sleep and my heart would just race so fast. And it wasn't really like a panic attack or whatever anxiety attack that I had in the past. It was just more like I just felt so sick. My arm, like I was getting like these almost electric shocks when I would try to fall asleep, and I started getting really scared. I started getting really worried, and I couldn't sleep. I would go hours and hours and hours through the night trying to fall asleep, and I couldn't. The same thing was happening to me every single time, and I was freaking out, and I couldn't do it. So like I said, my mom ended up taking me to the emergency room. The attending physician basically told me what was going on. He said he basically put it in a really nice way of saying that I was having a mental breakdown. Because all the symptoms that I was showing, like insomnia, no appetite, I had lost like 10 pounds that week. So after I got out of the emergency room, they basically gave me like these old school like pills for depression, and he basically just told me like, you're not going to get better if you don't start taking medication, if you don't start going to a psychologist, which is basically like a therapist. And that was a point where I realized like, damn, this is really serious. Like I knew from that point forward I had to change like the way I was living my life. I had to change what I was doing, and I don't know, I think that was like a really, really big eye-opener for me. I mean, it's unfortunate what I went through, but I really truly believe in what people say when they're like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I know it sounds so cheesy and like corny, but it really is true. I think once you experience stuff like that, you look back on it like months or years later and you're like, wow, like I'm such a strong person for going through that. And that's how I feel now. So I did what he said. I was really, really scared after I got out of the hospital because I was like, what if these don't work? What if I still can't sleep? I was just like really psyching myself out. And like I said, it was just really taking a toll on my body. I lost weight. I wasn't eating. I was just really scared I wasn't going to be able to feel normal again. And I kind of want to just low-key go into like a description of what I was feeling during this time. I just remember being so sad 24/7, and I didn't have a specific reason why. Like nothing specific in my life like was horrible. Nothing threw me over the edge. I just cried and cried and cried all day, every day for like 2 weeks straight. And it was just the weirdest experience of my life. But yeah, so I just realized, okay, I gotta do what the doctor said. And so I ended up taking the pills he prescribed me, and they worked for the first couple nights, and then after that they kind of didn't work anymore. So I was like, damn, I really gotta go see a psychiatrist for some like sleeping medication or something. So I ended up seeing my psychiatrist that I go to now, and she had me take some, I believe it was Klonopin or Ativan, something like that. And then I started on a antidepressant, which also is like an anti-anxiety medication. They use it for kind of both, so it's like used in tandem. And so I started on that treatment plan, and I've been on it ever since. I don't take the benzodiazepine, which is like the Klonopin, I believe it was, anymore. I only take that when needed, which is hardly ever now, but I am on antidepressants. I know that's kind of a little bit TMI for some people, but I truly am a firm believer of whatever you have to do to feel normal, to feel like yourself, and to get you by day is what you got to do. I know some people are so against medication, and I was definitely one of them, but when I needed it and when the going got tough, I really, really think that's what helped me get back to who I am today. And so, yeah, other than that, I mean, that's kind of my anxiety, mental health, depression story. I mean, there's really nothing much to say other than that. I mean, ever since that major depressive episode, I've been, trying to really change the way I live my life. I've been really trying to prioritize and really go through like the motions in as far as like stress management goes. I think I was a very big worrier before. I think that kind of just goes hand in hand with having, you know, anxiety. And I do want to say this. My generation right now, I think we are really desensitizing what anxiety is. You are more than welcome and more than okay to have anxious feelings from time to time. And you are more than right to have those feelings like of, you know, being worried and panicky, and people get panic attacks here and there. It's normal. But I think, like I said, we definitely are desensitizing what an anxiety disorder is really, truly about. Everybody nowadays has anxiety. Everybody nowadays has depression. And I don't want to say, oh yeah, I'm special because I really have it. But when I talk to other people about my situation versus someone who's only had like one panic attack in their whole life, and it was because of something specific that happened to them, or because they were like doing cocaine for 3 days in a row, like that does not classify as a anxiety disorder. That is just a panic attack you happen to have because of something specific. I know, like, I always see on Twitter, like, people are like, oh, this gives me anxiety, or like walking outside with no shoes on gives me anxiety. Like, I get it. Like, people tweet stuff like that, or people say just things like that, and they don't really know what they're saying and how it affects those of us who really do deal with this disorder and really do deal with things like that. Because then when I talk about this with people who don't know what anxiety is, they're like, that's nothing. Like, just don't think about it. You'll be fine. Like, no, that's not how this works. It really isn't. I firmly believe I have a chemical imbalance in this brain of mine, and that's what makes me deal with the things that I deal. But other than that, I mean, basically up until now, like I said, I've just been really trying to focus on learning what triggers me, which number one thing I think is like alcohol and no sleep. Actually, no, I think no sleep comes before alcohol. If I go out, even if I don't drink that night and go out with my friends and then I wake up super early for like work or school the next day, like, I can't do that. That's not me. That's not the person I can be, because no sleep really F's with my brain. Like, I will get really panicky. I'll get like really just bothered, and like, I don't know, like, it's just the weirdest thing. So I've just been trying to really learn my triggers and what makes me anxious and what makes me feel uncomfortable and what gives me panic attacks, because that's basically all I have to do. I think over the past of the course 3 to 4 years that I've been dealing with this, I've really just been trying to accept that this is what I have. This is what I have to deal with for the rest of my life, and it's okay that I have this and the person next door doesn't. Like, that's what was really, really messing with me, was the fact that I just kept comparing myself to other people. Like, why don't other people feel like this? Why am I the only one that gets panic attacks? Why am I the only one that's always so constantly worried and I look like a scaredy cat to other people? If you're going through this, you really can't think like that. Like, you just have to live for yourself and accept even if you're religious. If you're not religious, I mean, I guess this doesn't really count towards you, but I am. So for me, I just have to accept the way God made me, and not everybody is the same. And I really, 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 this is like one of my life's mottos. You don't know what someone else is going through, and everybody's hell is different. And I really believe that. Like, my hell is all of my disorders and everything that I've dealt with up until now. Somebody else's hell may be the fact that, you know, they're getting abused at home. Someone else's hell may be the fact that they're so financially unstable. You know, we all have a different hell on earth, and this is mine, and I just have to accept it. That's what I'm trying to spread awareness about to everybody, not just maybe about anxiety, depression, mental health. It's just the fact that we all have to constantly live day by day and accept the cards that we're dealt. And yeah, that was just basically the reason why I wanted to make this video for you guys. I really want to do another video about the ways and how I've dealt with anxiety. Oh, I also wanted to throw in too that I did go to a therapist, the therapist I was going to for about 1.5 years. I don't go to her anymore, but it's just because I feel like I'm doing okay right now. I am more than willing to go back to her if I feel like my anxiety gets out of hand. But as of right now, I'm not seeing one. But like I said, I definitely am open to it if need be. But anyways, like I said, I wanted to do a video about how I've learned to deal with my anxiety and my mental health and depression and things that I've learned along the way. Not that I'm an expert, but low-key I kind of feel like I am because I've done so much research. I'm the type of person that when something happens to me, I want to be fully aware and just have as much knowledge as possible about a certain subject before I speak on it. And then also I wanted to do a video about what it's like being on antidepressants, the pros and cons, and what it's like and how it's affected me and my life. And yeah, if you guys want to see those videos, please leave a comment down below, and I would love to chat with you guys about different, you know, mental health issues that you guys are having and what you guys are going through. And if you ever need advice, I am totally open to giving it. Either if you want to private message me on Instagram, it's always linked down below, or if you just want to leave a comment and you're comfortable with sharing other people, I think we can really create a community of people who can support each other. You know, mental health is not something to play with. You know, it's not something you can see like a tumor in a chest, but it's definitely something that can affect you and, you know, make your life not livable. Is that the right thing to say? I know you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I definitely want to do more videos like this on my channel. I don't want it always to be about beauty and makeup and stuff and hair and fashion, because that is awesome and I love those things. It's my passion, but it's only skin deep and there's a lot of other important things in this world. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Bye.